What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. Wow! Caleb Plant has clapped back at allegations that he's ducking Canelo Alvarez. Yeah? Caleb Plant has broken his silence in abnormal fashion, to be fair. Caleb Plant's normally quite silent. And actually, not only Caleb Plant, also Tyson Fury has given a little dig at Canelo Alvarez as well. So let me give you the quotes here from Caleb Plant. Very unusual. I'm shocked, to be fair. Caleb Plant says the following. Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. He was set to make 40 million plus Mexican TV rights and his Hennessy sponsorship. No problem, let's fight. We gave it to him. Then they wanted upside of the gate and pay-per-view revenue. No problem, let's rumble. It was always agreed that it was a title unification. No rematch for either fighter. Towards the end of negotiations, they asked for a rematch when they lose. No problem, you can have the rematch as well. I just want to fight. I question whether legacy or money is their real motive. We've been waiting for him to get done with his wedding, shooting his TV show, his golf tournament, and now have tried to give him everything he wants and more to make this fight. There we go then. There's the quotes there from Caleb Plant via Mike Coppinger. Wow! Giving us an insight, a very unusual insight by the way, into these negotiations. Now, listen, I've got to be honest, there's a number of things that are possibly going on here. I hate to sound like a hater because at the end of the day, Caleb Plant is giving us an insight, but I'm not sure of the motives here. Is this a kind of, oh look, I tried guys, see you later kind of thing? I get the feeling it's a possibility. Caleb Plant's basically saying that, or Caleb Plant's trying to get, what's the word? Caleb Plant's trying to get at, I think what they call this is someone trying to get out in front of it. Caleb Plant knows the fight's falling through and he wants to get the narrative out there first. However, if what he says is true and he's honestly given Alvarez a lot of these things that he talks about, if that makes sense, if the rematch clause, if all these things, if he's giving all of these up and he's just trying to make the fight and Alvarez is saying he's busy with a wedding and whatnot, if this is true, then yeah, it's looking kind of weird from Alvarez. What does having a wedding have to do with booking the fight, if that makes sense? A contract's a contract. Sign it, just sign it. You can still have your wedding. How long does it take to sign a contract? From what Caleb Plant's alleging is that Alvarez keeps putting it off. Oh, I can't sign it yet, my wedding. Oh, I can't sign it yet, my TV show. That does seem odd. I don't care what no one says. There's no way Alvarez is... I'm sorry, for me, yeah, Alvarez has done way too much in the sport to be scared of Plant. More likely, in my opinion, it's Alvarez's team. You know what the businessmen are like. They love getting involved and just taking along. They love it. So again, I do wonder what's Caleb Plant's end goal here? Because equally, you have to ask yourself, yeah, I can understand as a fighter it can be somewhat frustrating, but for me, I can't work out what his point is here. Okay, even if, let's say for example, Alvarez is taking a little long to get the fight signed, so, if anything, you should be thinking, wow, look, this fight's almost a dead cert. We've answered all of his calls, so he ain't going to have nothing to complain about, therefore the fight's most likely going to happen. I've now got more time to prepare. If I was Caleb Plant, I'd be grateful, thinking, you know what, I'm going to get some whilst Alvarez is swanning off doing his TV show and his wedding, I'm going to be training, getting the edge. Because you've got to remember, a lot of fighters complain, saying that they were called on short notice. Callum Smith only had 5-6 weeks, apparently. You should be laughing all the way to the bank here, thinking, you know what, I'm one of the few fighters who's got a heads up on fighting Alvarez. Because in my mind, even if this fight did fall through, which in my opinion is unlikely, if Alvarez is as happy as you say he is, meaning you've given him all the things he wants, why would the fight not happen? If it's just a timing issue, should be no problem. You should take this as an advantage. And for the amount of money we're talking about here, who cares if it takes... And to be honest, even if it fell through, who cares? If it falls through, it falls through. For 4 weeks' time, for example, are you really going to pull this $10 million opportunity? Because Alvarez wasn't ready in 2 weeks, or whatever. Them extra 2 weeks you could have used, by the way, to your advantage. I find it suspect. So what I'm basically saying is, the motives here seem sus to me. What's he getting at here? Is he saying Alvarez doesn't want to fight? If so, why not wait until that's conclusive? If that makes sense. Wait until Alvarez has fully declined the fight and then come out with this. Why come out of it now? It's almost like you're trying to get the narrative out there so you can say, oh look, I tried guys, see you later. But if that doesn't make no sense. Why would you walk away from a fight of this magnitude for? When Alvarez hasn't flat out called it off yet. Seems a little odd to me. Then again, it could just be politics. Maybe he's trying to pressure Alvarez to, I don't know, pressure him to hurry up, which is fair enough. Because Caleb Plant hasn't officially called it off yet. So I guess we really just have to see here. This could just be venting. This could be, well, Caleb Plant had an interview and he just said some words. This could just be kind of back and forth banter as such, or fight promo. Let's get the back and forth going in the press. He's scared. We all know that he said, she said is good for marketing. Now, one thing I will say that I found interesting is some of the language he's used. He says Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. And then at the end he says, we have tried to give him everything he wants and more to make this fight. It's almost conceding, saying, oh, I tried to give him what he wants. He was offered the highest. Combining that with this statement going out in the first place, it all adds up. It's almost like what I said at the beginning. They're trying to... Oh, look, we tried. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we tried to make this fight. We gave him the highest ever. We gave him a rematch clause. We gave him what he wants, but he hasn't signed it now, so see you later. I'm sorry. That's my final conclusion with this. Now, Caleb Plant hasn't officially come out and said, yeah, it's off. But this feels like it's a preliminary or a pre-off statement. A pre-off statement is it's kind of like, well, the fans were looking forward to Caleb Plant versus Canelo. He doesn't want to come out and say it's just straight off. So, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a statement out explaining all the reasons why the fight hasn't been made. And then, a day or two from now, when it falls through, we'll say, see, we told you so. That's what it feels like to me. Especially when, in my opinion, Caleb Plant and PBC, I've never felt they really wanted this fight like that. And I'm sorry, I have to also say that, guess what? When people want to fight Canelo Alvarez, there isn't normally a problem. See what I mean? Think of all the opponents we've seen Canelo Alvarez have. Triple G. Yeah? People a lot bigger than Caleb Plant. Triple G. Mayweather. Billy Ho Saunders. Because whatever we say about Billy Ho's a bigger name than Caleb Plant. Maybe not in the US, but either way, even if he's not a bigger name, Mayweather was. Triple G was. How about that? 2 Triple G fights got done. So, and never mind all the other fights, Sergey Kovalev and whatever else. The fights get done. And to be honest, really, we don't hear too much about the negotiations. The rematch clause is pretty standard, by the way. That's the same for every A-side fighter. That's not record, that's not science, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not record breaking that he wants a rematch clause. It may be a bit diva-ish, but listen, when you're making 10 times your highest payday, that's the way it goes. So on that note, given Alvarez's history, in my opinion, there's nothing scary about Caleb Plant. Don't forget this. Alvarez was the one who wanted that fight. He's the one who said, Plant, I want to fight you. It wasn't the other way around. Plant didn't come to Alvarez and say, Alvarez, I want you. Alvarez said to Plant, let's do it. So I find it hard to believe that Alvarez wanted this fight and now he missing. More likely, yeah, he may be busy, but it's going to get signed at some point. Hence, I'm struggling to understand where their angle is. Or put it this way, from a positive point of view of this fight happening, I'm struggling to see where Caleb Plant is going with his statement. Unless, like I said, it's just an interview and it's just marketing and it's just one of them ones. It's just fighters talking. But some of the language and how severe, for example, we know, well, I've heard fighters go back and forth before a big fight, or I've heard fighters make allegations, but pretty rarely do we hear people airing out contract or parts of the negotiations and parts of the contract. Very rarely, and we know that's for a good reason. When people start talking about the particulars of negotiations, normally it means it's not going well. Normally it means it ain't going to happen. Especially when negotiations have dragged on for a while. Now, like I was saying, Alvarez, traditionally, I'm sorry, I have to go with him. He ain't scared to fight no one. He fighting much more scary people than you. So number one, Alvarez was the one who wanted this fight. Number two, he makes big fights all the time. Number three, people don't really complain so much. So given all them three factors, why are we as fans to believe that Alvarez is really much of a problem? From Caleb Plant's point of view, let's assume for a minute we're Caleb Plant. If we want the fight, yeah, what does it matter about these details, really? Especially when he says he's already said yes to them. So why are you telling us for? I don't get that. Okay, so you're telling us that you gave him the rematch clause. You gave him his biggest ever payday. You gave him whatever else he wanted. So what's the problem then? Because what you haven't done, you haven't actually told us what the problem is right now. You've said, oh, we tried, and or you've hinted that the fight's off and not happening. Oh, we tried and it's not happened. But you haven't actually told us how it flopped, for example. You said you give him everything. You haven't actually explained in this statement where the actual issue is then. You've just said that we've conceded on everything and what? He hasn't got back to us yet. Well, wait then, innit? Get in the gym, training. You should be getting your leg up, thinking, you know what? He in the wedding. He's sleeping, he's slacking. I'm getting this working. Instead, you're putting statements out and whining. I just hope, for boxing's sake, I just hope for your career's sake, either way, I just hope that this is just talk. Because if this fight don't happen and you think you're trying to be a smart-ass PBC fighter and getting the narrative out there, it's going to be a bad look. And besides, again, this whole business of, we're paying him the highest guarantee. Listen, the highest guarantee don't mean nothing. Yeah? Stop. Who are you kidding? And this is what worries me again. This sounds like narrative.com. Oh, we're paying him the highest guarantee. We all know guarantee don't mean a lick of nothing. And the fact you're saying, we even gave him pay-per-view. Well, obviously, you thought Alvarez was going to take 40 million flat. What planet are you on? Of course he is the pay. What? So you thought, wait there, we'll pay Alvarez 40 million and then we keep the whole pay-per-view to ourselves? Who are you kidding here? And it feels to me, once again, this was look, we really tried. Look, we gave him everything. My name's Jesus Plant. We gave him everything and still he ain't signed. If you want this fight, Caleb Plant, which by the way would be your biggest payday ever by 10 times probably. If you're serious about this fight and you want it, don't be telling us about what you've done. Get in the gym, stay training, and be ready. That's what it is to be a B-side, unfortunately. And guess what, Caleb? When you're the A-side, you'll be able to frit away on weddings and do TV shows and, you know what I mean, and keep people waiting. That's what, unfortunately, Alvarez has worked himself into being in that position of power, where he can take his damn time to sign things. That's what it is. You ain't no A-side. You ain't beat no one to be an A-side. This is your A-side fight. And that's why I'm struggling. Seriously, I know I keep going on, but I'm being serious. I'm struggling now. This is your big A-side fight. You can go from being a nobody to a pay-per-view star overnight. And rather than taking advantage and saying, wow, man, people like Callum Smith only got given 5 weeks' notice. I've been given loads of week notice, and now I'm getting even more time because he's delaying, potentially. Let me get my ass in the gym, because even if this fight didn't come off for whatever reason, I haven't lost nothing, have I? But what have I got to gain? A lot to gain. Instead, you're moaning, which just don't seem like the right mindset for me. You should be counting your lucky stars, thinking, wow, he's distracted, he's doing a wedding, he's doing a TV show. And for me, the fact that Alvarez pointed me out, knowing his resume, if I was Caleb Plant, I'd know he's serious about this fight. Is he busy at the moment? Maybe, but the fact of the matter is, we know Alvarez ain't trying to make no fight, he ain't really fixing to do. And I'm sorry, Caleb Plant and his team must know this. They must know Alvarez is serious. And if they're as given as they're making up they are, they know Alvarez is serious. They've given Alvarez everything he wants, and they must know the fight will be happening at some point. So why aren't you capitalising on this extra time? Instead, you're trying to muddy the water to create enough narrative and enough momentum for some goofy fans to say, for the LDBC to start saying, oh look, Alvarez is ducking. At which point, that's what I think's happened here. I think Caleb Plant don't really want to fight, and he wants to muddy the water so that he gets the fans on his side. And the minute the LDBC starts saying, oh yeah, look, Alvarez ducking Plant, that's when Plant will call the fight off and say, yeah, look, I've got the narrative where I want it. The fans are telling it, there's certain fans are saying that Alvarez ducked me. And now, in true PBC style, when these negotiations fall through, in the history books it will be known, or in certain history books it will go down, that I wanted to fight and Alvarez ducked me. Because we've seen it loads. Look at the Charlos and Andrade. Andrade wanted Charlo badly. They have some goofy negotiations, it falls through, and somewhere or another, everyone's scared of, or somehow or another, it was Andrade who didn't want it. Meanwhile, Andrade the only one who wants anyone at 160. But he the one, you know what I'm saying, one of them ones. That's what they always do. It's the PBC playbook. Get your narrative out there, flake the fight, and then ride with it for history. Because, no joke, 5 years later, they say the same things and stay not fighting. Same as Wilder. When Wilder ducked AJ, they put the narrative out there and they've had the same ones, which is false, for 5 years. And they use that, swear down, yeah. These cats, these PBC shills, they use that same narrative to justify not fighting them forevermore, for the rest of history. They say things like, well, oh man, you know, he wasted my time. He shouldn't fight him again. He played too many. That's what swear down. With Wilder and AJ, Wilder fans started saying, oh, AJ plays too many games. He too disrespectful. He wastes too much time. We ain't fighting him again. That's what they do. I swear down. PBC fighters, they make negotiations fail and then use that as a reason never to negotiate again. It's madness. And I'm sorry, but this for me feels like another one of them ones. Because otherwise, there's no way this should bother you if you're serious. If you're serious, knowing how serious Alvarez has been, when has Alvarez approached negotiations and not come off? Tell me when. You man, tell me. Show me when Alvarez has approached negotiations and it's not come off. I've never known it. So if you're serious about the fight, you know Alvarez is serious, historically speaking. You're serious, just sit down somewhere and be grateful. Oh, no, you're all in the video, all in the interview, trying to get narrative out there. Trying to come across as... I always find it suspect when people try and come across like they're Jesus. Oh, look what we did. The sun was shining out of my arse. It's always a bit sus. I'm sorry, it is. Super sus. What's your angle here? Because we know no one's perfect. And I find it hard to believe that PBC just accepted everything. This may have been a honeypot. Oh yeah, we'll accept that, if that makes sense. Could be a possibility, yeah, that PBC have done it this way. And to be fair, we don't even know if this is true. Yeah, we have to wait till we hear from Eddie Hearn. But this might be lies anyway. They might be lying. But if they're telling the truth, this could have been a honeypot. And we'll know this because if it comes out in the wash, yeah, that they did concede all of these points and the fight doesn't happen, you have to ask yourself, wait a minute. If you man conceded all these points, why didn't you put the fight on then? Why did you pull out, innit? This may have been a honeypot. Oh yeah, we'll concede all the points, and then when you don't get back to us in 2 days, pull the fight. Because, not being funny, this again is the PBC playbook. What do we know? When AJ wanted to fight Wilder, yeah, they said, oh, you got 48 hours. If we don't hear back from you, the fight ain't happening. I swear down. This may be something similar. Oh yeah, we'll accept all your terms, but if we don't hear back from you in 2 days, it's off. And now we see Caleb Plant saying, oh, we've given him everything. Sorry, haven't heard from you. He's doing a wedding. He's doing a TV show. See you later. That's what it looks like. Because if you think about it, if you've given him everything he wants, and more, like you say you have, what's the problem? You haven't explained the problem. So you're essentially making a problem out of nothing. You've just said you've given him everything. Fine, no problem then, is there? All you're describing is that it's a problem of time. He hasn't had enough time yet. Well, so? What are you moaning about? You're trying to make a problem out of nothing. We gave him everything. And? You want a medal for that? Oh no, what you want is to set the narrative out there that you did all you can, and when the fight fell, you did all you can, and the fights fell through. So don't blame me, is what you want, I believe. Because the other way it doesn't work. If you really want this fight, then you just shut up and get on with it. This looks like pure narrative. And as fans, yeah, the best we can hope is that this is pre-fight build-up. Just back and forth thing. Because the one bit of hope we have is that Caleb Plant hasn't flat out said, it's off, it's not happening, we're moving on. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's see I can't wait to hear from Eddie Hearn. Now, Tyson Fury put this post out as well. He reposted this. We know Tyson Fury loves to have a dig at Eddie Hearn and whatnot. But listen, Tyson Fury, Hearn's fight is fight. You just stay posted on social media. You're unique. Oh yeah, another thing. And honestly, Tyson Scary. Listen, Tyson Scary. I know you'd love to believe that people are whatever. Alvarez rolled the legs off of your man Billy Ho. You want to worry about that? Yeah? Just because you're bitter. And if I was you, Tyson Scary, I'd wind your neck in. Because no joke, yeah. Give Alvarez a year. I'd back him to knock you out. Seriously. Give Alvarez a year to put weight on. I'd back him to knock you. Yeah. Give Alvarez a year to get on the beef. Yeah. Get on the special beef for a year. He'd knock you out. Listen, I'd be there for it. Because you can't punch. And he's too slick. He'd be rolling and whatnot. You wouldn't know what to do. Yeah? That's what would happen as well. So if I was you, I'd wind that neck into yours before it gets snapped. No doubt.